So, by now, I think most of us can agree that Fleetway isn't very balanced or fun to fight. So I thought I'd try to propose one way I think Fleetway could be made more fun to fight and made less of a rushdown and more of a glass cannon character. For starters, his M1 hitbox. I know this is more Roblox's fault than the developers, but look at 2011X. His hitbox is far from perfect, but it's nowhere near as bad as this. Literally, just copy and paste 2011X's hitbox and it's fine. So with that out of the way, let's get down to the real changes. Starting off, my goal is to make Fleetway have as few get out of jail free cards as possible. Right now, let's say a Metal Sonic is going to stun you. As Fleetway, you have 4 ways of dealing with this without having to actually put effort into dodging the stun. And I want to change that. First of all, laser. Remove the iframes from the windup and make the windup like 30% faster. And also make it not go through walls. Like seriously man, what is this? Drain. I honestly really hate it when I see Fleetway players using drain just for iframes or a mobility tool. So what I would do is make the range like 50% smaller so it's not used for mobility. Remove the iframes from the windup, but keep the ones during the lunge part. And make the windup like 50% shorter. All of this is to make sure that drain is used as an attack, which is its purpose, instead of an iframe shop or a mobility tool. Now for Chaos Dash. I have an interesting proposition. So every killer essentially has some weakness or some limiting factor to them. 2011X struggles with vertical mobility. Colossus is just slow in general and has a way bigger hitbox than other executioners. And Tripwire is Tripwire. Fleetway doesn't really have a weakness. The only limiting factor for him is his health bar. But unless the Fleetway is just insanely bad at the game, or you have the perfect team composition full of sweats, he isn't going to die. So why not give Fleetway a weakness? You know how in most video game boss fights, the boss is usually vulnerable either during or after their attack is ended. Since Fleetway is meant to be more a boss fight, why not give him something like that? We already made him vulnerable during Fateful Drain startup, so let's make him more vulnerable when he's at his weakest, when he can't fly. If Fleetway has less than, let's say, 25 flight meter, Chaos Dash cannot be used. Just to clarify, this doesn't mean Chaos Dash would take away flight meter, it just means that he has to have more than 25 flight to use it. It makes it so if a Fleetway player rushes in headfirst without a plan, they can get punished very easily if they rely entirely on flight as their crutch. And maybe if you're one of those people that really don't like Fleetway, I don't get that by the way, how could you not like this guy? It's literally supersonic. You could also make his flight drain like 5 to 10% faster, so he's more frequently vulnerable. So now, with all of these changes, if we put Fleetway back into that scenario with a Metal Sonic trying to stun him, and assume he doesn't have flight meter, he either has to dodge the stun like every other executioner, or use burst. Which I don't really have a problem with, since every killer has at least one get out of jail free card. So these were, in my opinion, some pretty hefty nerfs. So let's get into the buffs, to make sure Fleetway doesn't turn into 0.1 Johnny Rage mode. For starters, I never really liked that he has a random chance to do 37 damage instead of 30, so let's make him always do 35, and if he gets under 150 health, he starts doing 40 damage per hit. Second, make burst be usable when he's stunned again. I don't know if it's a bug or if it was just shadow removed, but yeah, I want it back because stun stacking is dumb. And while we're on the subject, why does only Sonic do less damage when stun stacking? Tails and Knuckles do the exact same damage even when they're stun stacking. Make Tails and Knuckles also do less damage while stun stacking. Knuckles will do 18 with an uncharged punch and 30 with a fully charged one, and Tails... Oh yeah, Tails exists. It's really dumb that he does like no damage to Fleetway at all. That's if he's lucky enough to hit him. So I say make Burst do like 30 damage and his regular laser does 20 once it first hits Fleetway, and then starts doing 1 damage per tick if he keeps beaming him. So Tails has at least some use against Fleetway before getting massacred. Also, could you get Still My Call Fools in game? Please, I really like it, please, it's so good, please, just please. And that's mostly it. I wanted to make Fleetway as fair and fun to fight as possible without nerfing him into the ground, and honestly, I'm mostly happy with this. Because I would argue, current Fleetway isn't really that much more powerful than 2011X or Colossus. he's just a lot more annoying to fight than either of them, mostly because of his M1 hitbox and iframes. I know a lot of people have a problem with his flight, which is why I made it drain a bit faster, but honestly, in my opinion, if 2011X can instantly teleport to someone and there's already a survivor that can fly, I feel like an executioner that can fly isn't that big of a deal. And with this, I feel like I have achieved my goal of making Fleetway less brain dead to use and require some thought and strategy, and not just iframe and flight spam. Even with all of this, it's still not that easy to kill a Fleetway that kind of knows what they're doing if you don't have a good team. But I honestly feel like killing Fleetway is something you have to earn and use teamwork to achieve, and not just stun sacking. I still didn't want to nerf Fleetway too hard, because I believe he is by far the most fun executioner to play. I still made some changes so the survivors fighting him have at least some chance if they work together. And yes, if you don't work together, you still die very quickly. That goes for every killer. At the end of the day, Outcome Memories is a team-based game. Anyways, that's all for today's video. If you watched all the way through, thanks a lot. Subscribe if you enjoyed. Tell me in the comments if you disagree with my balance changes, and I'll see you next time.